The USA and the Soviet Union's relationship is extremely tense in 1962, and there are rumors that the Soviet Union is about to unleash an atomic weapon. Americans experience widespread panic, and many start erecting bomb shelters in their backyards. Dr. Calvin puts an extra effort into his bunker, stockpiling provisions that will endure for many years. Calvin and Helen, his expectant wife, host a party at their home one day. Everything is going smoothly until they watch a President Kennedy broadcast on TV, during which he declares that they are organizing a covert operation against the Soviet Union. Although there are no specifics, Calvin pushes out all of the visitors and drags his wife into the bunker because he still feels that a war is going to break out. A short while later, a plane is flying over the city when it abruptly detects a mechanical issue. The pilot is powerless to stop it, and the plane crashes squarely into Calvin's home, completely demolishing it. Calvin believes the war has begun as he hears the commotion and feels the shaking throughout the bunker, and promptly closes the door. He tells Helen that although he can't open it by hand, the door will open by itself after 35 years, when radioactive particles in the atmosphere will have had time to normalize. When the authorities eventually show up to examine the accident-related wreckage, they presume Calvin and Helen had perished in the collision because they are unable to detect any evidence of life. Helen detests life down there, but as the days go by, Calvin begins to feel at home. When her water finally breaks one day, she gives birth to a handsome baby boy with her husband's assistance. Days quickly turn into years, and their son Adam develops into a bright youngster. Calvin imparts all of his knowledge to Adam with the expectation that one day he will rebuild the nation and restore its former splendor. Calvin teaches Adam everything from the fundamentals of education to boxing, speaking Latin and French, and stock market management. Helen teaches him how to dance as well as how to handle household tasks. Adam struggles to visualize so many people as Calvin tries to explain sports to him, and also gives him his collection of baseball cards. Their son, who is becoming more and more innocent every day, is raised by both parents with excellent manners, but they never swear in front of him. The family has no trouble creating a schedule that works for them and enables them to build an additional room for Adam, go pretend fishing in a tank, go shopping in the minimart, and take care of plants. Additionally, there is a lounge area where people may hang out, read, and play games. Above them, the property where their home once stood is sold and over time turns into a variety of businesses. It is a diner first, followed by a pizzeria and eventually a nightclub. Adam turns 33 in 1995, and his parents give him presents that they have handmade. He hopes to one day find the ideal companion when he blows out the candles. When Helen points out that there are only 2 years left, Calvin responds that he will miss this location when the time comes, which makes Helen run into a different room and let out all of her rage. The 35 years eventually come to an end in 1997, and the door unlocks on its own. Calvin advises the eager family to do a quick check to make sure everything is safe before leaving. He dons a radiation suit, removes the elevator, and shows up in an abandoned building inhabited by a group of inebriated panhandlers. Melker faints, stunned beyond recognition at the sight of a brilliant man rising from the earth. After that, Calvin exits the building and is astounded by all the modifications. There's graffiti all over the place, people handling firearms like toys, adult stores stocked with merchandise he finds repulsive, and strange-looking people whose speech he cannot comprehend. Fearful, Calvin flees to the bunker and tells them that even though the air is clean, the neighborhood is still a wasteland full of insane mutants from the post-apocalyptic world. Helen eventually loses it when he says they have to stay in the bunker. She screams at him while telling him how tired she is of being confined and stressing the need of Adam connecting with nature. Calvin has a heart attack as a result of the dispute since he won't change his mind. Helen sends Adam outside to buy enough food to last a few years because Calvin is ill and supplies are practically at an end. She tells him to stay at the Holiday Inn and look for a girl who isn't mutant, and she gives him some money and a shopping list. Calvin warns Adam not to go inside the adult film store due to the dangerous radiation levels inside before he leaves. When Adam eventually gets outside after packing, he finds Melker has created a makeshift temple near the lift to honor Calvin's family, who are revered as holy people. When Adam steps outside, he is overjoyed to view a variety of objects for the first time, including the magnificent sky, houses, trees, and even other people, who think he's strange. He shouts hello to everyone who passes by him since he is overly enthused about everything and gets excited about everything. However, he makes the mistake of calling a black woman a slur when he meets her. He covers his nose and encourages others to follow suit as he walks past the adult movie business. After that, when he feels the machine moving on the bus, he becomes extremely afraid. He tries to converse with other passengers, but none can understand him since he employs archaic terminology, leading them to believe he is strange. Adam eventually arrives at the grocery shop and begins to purchase everything on the list. Adam realizes he has no idea how to get back to the bunker when the butcher tells him if he places a larger order, it may be delivered to his residence. He flees the store in a panic, traveling several buses all day in an attempt to find the bunker, but to no effect. He goes into a hobby store to sell his father's baseball cards because he is likewise low on cash. The store owner knows they are expensive and antique cards, but instead of telling Adam, he makes an offer to acquire the entire pack for just $500. Eve, the shop clerk, cuts them off before Adam can say yes, telling him he is being duped because each of those cards is worth $4,000 to $6,000. After Eve abuses her supervisor and abruptly quits, Adam is taken aback by her and begins to feel a crush on her. Adam asks Eve to drive him to the Holiday Inn as they exit the store. Eve initially objects and tries to flee from him, but she soon comes around when Adam offers to give her 2 baseball cards as payment. Adam plays all the old songs on the radio during the voyage, which Eve finds very strange. Eve says nothing as she heads out the door after dropping Adam off at the motel. Adam heads to his room, where he enjoys watching television in color after being astounded by the view from the 18th floor as he looks through the window. In order to witness the sunrise, he also takes sure to get up extra early. Eve sees Adam at the hotel the following morning to return the cards to him since she feels bad about getting paid so much for such a small job. She then makes an attempt to leave, but Adam stops her with an offer. In exchange for her helping him gather everything for the bunker, he will pay her to become his assistant. Eve accepts, and the two of them go shopping for enough goods to survive for another 2 years while renting multiple trucks. She is also shocked to learn that Adam wishes to find a wife. Once they've finished their shopping, Eve brings Adam to her house, where he meets Troy, her flatmate, who becomes quite curious about Adam after realizing how taken aback by all the technology. Adam tells a falsehood, claiming to be on a business trip from his home state of Alaska. Helen, on the other hand, is overly interested and boards the lift. However, as soon as she emerges, she notices Melker and his pals acting strangely and turns around right once. The following day, Troy determines that Adam needs a fashion makeover and gives him an entirely new clothing that enhances his good looks. Over the next few days, Eve and Troy introduce Adam to a variety of new activities, including skating, dancing to contemporary music, and visiting the ocean. Adam becomes so ecstatic that he carelessly dives into the ocean. In addition, he gets to see a baseball game and at last comprehends why his father enjoys it so much. Adam is standing in total amazement when it starts to rain one day. Adam shares his happiness with Eve when she comes to see him, telling her that his father would consider this a miracle. Adam is taken to an old-school swing club by Eve and Troy in the evening, where they advise him to be authentic. Women in the club are drawn to Adam right away by his good looks, kind demeanor, and polite manners. He notices Eve's opponent right away, and the two become friendly, which makes Eve envious. She pulls Adam aside and tells him that she wants a kind lady, not a skank, in his life. Adam then invites another female to dance, and the two of them rule the dance floor while Adam dazzles everyone with his incredible dancing abilities. In an attempt to suppress her jealousy, Eve talks to her ex-boyfriend, who makes fun of Adam and challenges him to a duel. However, Adam swiftly scares the man away by using his boxing lessons. Eve walks out of the club, frustrated by all the commotion, and heads home by herself. Eve realizes she loves Adam and rushes out to locate him when Troy arrives and tells her that Adam left the club with her opponent. She climbs inside the car, but before she can drive off, she hears a knock on the glass, which causes her to stumble to the ground. It's Adam, who explains that he had to turn down the other girls because he couldn't stop thinking about Eve as he leads her inside and tends to her cut. After Adam tells Eve how he feels, they eventually share a kiss. After spending some time together, Adam makes the decision to tell Eve the truth about his family and his house, as well as his desire to marry her in order to allow her to dwell in the bunker with him. But Eve pushes him out right away, believing him to be a well-looking madman who has just been skilled at disguising it. The following day, Troy teaches Adam how to drive while showing him about the city. Adam pursues the road after seeing the pornographic video store earlier, and finds the building above his bunker, where Melker has created a complete religion centered around the lift. He is overjoyed and dashes back to tell Eve the good news, only to discover that 2 psychiatrists are waiting for him. Adam initially puts on a front of cooperation, but as soon as he spots a chance, he bolts. The other tries to contact the police while a doctor pursues him, but Eve stops her and recognizes that what she did was wrong. Adam rushes over to her at that precise time, hands her his hotel key so she can use the cards to settle the bill, and then makes off in the truck he rented, unintentionally hitting the doctor's car on the way. When Eve and Troy eventually arrive at Adam's hotel room, they discover a number of 1960s-era products in addition to Calvin's stock certificates, which are now valued at millions of dollars. They realize Adam was telling the truth to them because of these occurrences. After being away from his parents for 2 weeks, Adam eventually makes it back to the bunker and gives them a hug. He brings in the goods, which Melker and his pals are loading, and tells them how beautiful the outside world is. Returning to Eve, she is frantic to find Adam, so Troy drives her to the adult video store, where they begin trampling the ground in the hopes of discovering the bunker. They decide to leave after, of course, finding nothing, but not before noticing Adam preparing to go into the adjacent building. Adam extends an invitation for Eve to meet his parents, as she quickly runs to him to give him a hug and kiss. Eve is extremely loved by Calvin and Helen, and as they are eating supper together, Calvin tells Adam about birds and bees. Adam, however, requests that his parents wait 2 months before beginning any plans for a new life. In the ensuing weeks, Adam and Eve sell Calvin's assets and construct a new house in the country that bears a striking resemblance to Adam's old home. After clearing up and ultimately giving up alcohol, Melker also lends a hand. When everything is prepared, Adam invites his parents to the house and explains how they can gradually acclimatize to the new environment in this way. Adam eventually reveals to Calvin that there was never an atomic war, that the bomb had actually been a plane that crashed into their home, and that the Soviet Union had fallen apart later on while Helen and Eve are preparing supper. Calvin doesn't think it's true and begins preparing to construct a backup bunker. Blast from the Past, 1997, a nostalgic look at re-entering society. Blast from the Past, 1997, is a comedic sci-fi film that explores what happens when a sheltered man raised in a bomb shelter emerges into the modern world for the first break in 35 years. Explanation. After a nuclear scare in the 1950s, a wealthy scientist, Christopher Walken, builds a luxurious fallout shelter and raises his son Adam, Brendan Fraser, inside, believing the world is a wasteland. When they discover the truth, Adam ventures out for the first time, encountering a culture shock of epic proportions. He navigates the modern world with childlike enthusiasm and innocence, charming everyone he meets, including a spunky librarian named Eve, Alicia Silverstone. Laughter and hijinks ensue as Adam adjusts to society while learning about the world he missed. Criticism. Heartwarming comedy, the film is lighthearted and charming, offering laughs as Adam encounters modern technology, fashion, and social norms. The performances, particularly Fraser's, are endearing. Nostalgia trip. The film taps into 1990s nostalgia by referencing popular culture from the 1950s and 60s, creating a sense of warmth and a connection to a bygone era. Predictable plot. The storyline is fairly predictable, focusing more on Adam's humorous fish-out-of-water adventures than complex character development. Moral. Blast from the Past explores themes of family, the importance of human connection, and the value of optimism. It reminds us of the simple joys of life and the importance of adapting to change, even when it's scary. The moral message is clear. Sometimes stepping outside your comfort zone can lead to unexpected friendships, experiences, and a newfound appreciation for the world around you. Easy understanding. Imagine growing up underground, thinking the world ended. Blast from the Past is a funny and heartwarming sci-fi comedy about a sheltered man who emerges into the 1990s for the first time. It's a story about culture shock, finding your place in the world, and the importance of cherishing life's simple joys.